Travis Kelce bolted from Taylor Swift's studio house like a man possessed, the weight of a nightmare clinging to him. He had always been a confident athlete, a star on the field, but what transpired in those walls was beyond comprehension. Taylor's music, usually a source of inspiration for millions, had morphed into something sinister, a dark undercurrent that seeped into his dreams and gnawed at his sanity. It started innocuously enough. He was drawn to her creative space, seduced by the allure of her world, one filled with melodies, lyrics, and the promise of connection. But as the hours turned into days, he felt an unsettling shift. Taylor would sit for hours, pen in hand, crafting songs that seemed to vibrate with an energy he couldn't place. It was intoxicating at first, the kind of magic that musicians wield when they tap into something deeper than themselves. But soon, the music began to warp, twisting into a haunting echo that reverberated in his mind. In the dead of night, as the moon cast ghostly shadows through the studio windows, Travis found himself gripped by terrifying dreams. They weren't just typical nightmares. They were battles, fierce, chaotic, and laden with a sense of foreboding. He would wake in a cold sweat, heart racing, feeling the weight of unseen forces pressing down on him. The dreams were vivid, filled with dark figures that whispered in the recesses of his mind, urging him to confront something he couldn't quite grasp. Each night, the battles grew more intense. He could hear Taylor's melodies in the background, warping into a dirge that filled him with dread. The songs that once felt like anthems of love and empowerment became chants of despair, echoing the turmoil within him. He would fight against the shadows, grappling with phantoms that seemed to embody his fears, insecurities, and doubts. It was as if the very essence of her music had transformed him into a battleground for forces beyond his control. One particular night, after an exhausting day of rehearsals and a late-night writing session with Taylor, he fell into a deep sleep. The dreamscape was darker than ever before. He stood in a desolate landscape, surrounded by swirling fog. Figures emerged from the mist, their faces obscured, but their intent was clear. They wanted him. The music pulsed around him, a haunting melody that felt like a call to arms, but it was twisted, contorted into something unrecognizable and frightening. He fought valiantly, pushing back against the tide of darkness, but each time he thought he had gained ground, the music would shift, sending him spiraling back into despair. Travis could feel Taylor's presence, her voice whispering in the background, urging him to embrace the chaos. It was infuriating and terrifying. Was she part of this dark web? Did her creativity summon these forces? Or was he merely a pawn in a game he didn't understand? When dawn broke, Travis emerged from the dream, gasping for breath, his heart pounding like a war drum. He looked around the studio, the sunlight streaming in, illuminating the space. But it felt different now. The shadows seemed to linger, as if they were waiting for him to succumb to the madness. He glanced at Taylor, who was lost in her world, seemingly unaware of the turmoil brewing within him. How could she be so unaffected? Didn't she hear the music turning dark? It was in that moment of realization that he knew he had to escape. He couldn't stay any longer in a place that felt like a vortex of creativity and chaos intertwined. As he gathered his things, adrenaline surged through him, pushing him to move faster. He could hear the echo of her melodies in his mind, urging him to stay, but the allure had turned into a siren's song, a beckoning call that promised destruction. Travis burst through the door, running into the morning light, desperate to put distance between himself and that haunted place. It wasn't just about leaving Taylor's house. It was about reclaiming his sanity, his identity. The battles he fought in his dreams were spilling into his waking life, and he could no longer afford to be a participant in this dark saga. As he drove away, the weight of the experience crashed over him. He fought the urge to look back, to question what he was leaving behind. Was it Taylor's music that had ensnared him? Or was it something deeper, a reflection of his own fears and vulnerabilities? The road ahead felt uncertain, but it was better than the nightmare he had just escaped. In the following days, he wrestled with the remnants of those dreams. The shadows still lingered, haunting him in quiet moments, but he was determined to confront them. He sought solace in the familiarity of his training, the rhythm of the game grounding him in reality. Yet, the memory of Taylor's melodies echoed in the back of his mind, a reminder of the thin line between creativity and chaos. Travis understood that the world of fame and artistry is often shrouded in mystery, filled with both light and darkness. What he experienced wasn't just a reflection of Taylor's talent, it was a glimpse into the powerful, sometimes dangerous connection between artist and audience. He knew he had to find his way back to himself, away from the shadows that threatened to consume him, and reclaim the power of his own narrative. As he moved forward, the lessons from that harrowing experience stayed with him. The allure of fame can be intoxicating, but it can also lead to battles fought in the shadows of our minds. For Travis, the escape from Taylor's studio was just the beginning of a deeper journey, one where he would learn to navigate the complexities of creativity, identity, and the haunting echoes of the music that once ensnared him.